Hello and welcome back to Cinema Soapbox, where we shout the real questions. Say hello to my panel. Hello, panel.
Hello,
Hi,
Matthew.
Matt.
Today's presentation is going to come to us from Chris Baker Scott, and I'm very, very excited to hear it. So take it away, Chris.
All right, here we go. So let's begin. Satire. What is it? The use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, particularly in the context of contemporary politics or other topical issues. What are some notable examples in film of satire? We have Blazing Saddles, Office Space, The Great Dictator, all in their own right, just the perfect, example. Which leads me to the subject of my discussion today. A very important topic that begs to be examined. A topic that only the bold are willing to examine. A topic that some would consider somewhat spicy. And that is the 1995 erotic drama, Showgirls. So, you think of Showgirls, most would think of this movie and just think, oh, it's a bad movie, nothing really going on there. But let's just dive into this, the story. Let's begin there. We follow our lead, Nomi Malone, as she follows her dreams and becomes a goddess in Vegas while finding herself along the way. A simple story, right? You'd be wrong. Deeper than that. Beat by beat, the story of Showgirls is a bonkers ride. First, Nomi is robbed while hitching a ride. She begins thrashing a random car, which leads to that car's owner to confront her. The owner of that car then becomes her best friend and roommate in Vegas. Like, a lot of story there to get through, right? It would take some time. No, that happens within the first 10 minutes. So it leads you to, it's a satirical take on the new person in town, finding her way, and just happens so fast. So Showgirls really builds a world where time is meaningless, means nothing. But back to the main plot. Nomi essentially beats the odds in Vegas, lands a highly sought dancing gig, at the Stardust Casino, and having achieved her dream, movie ends, right? That's it. That's all she has to do. Again, you would be wrong. Here's the thing. The plot continues. Nomi develops a rivalry with the current headline dancer. Rivalry turns into hatred. Hatred turns into sabotage. And then she, after avenging the attack of her roommate and friend, which is a separate storyline completely, Nomi skips town. So when we think about that, the cinematic masterpiece Showgirls is a prime example of satire akin to The Great Dictator or Dr. Strangelove, and we need to start respecting it as such. Think about it. Not sure how many people are familiar with this great movie, but it's just a great piece of satire on fame, friendship, and just the life that we can live if we're really, truly brave enough to do it. Let's talk about the characters, which honestly helps sell the satirical piece. Nomi Malone. Think about the name there. Just know me, I'm alone. Come on. And we have the character, Zach Carey, played by Kyle MacLachlan. I never call that character by his name. Whenever I watch this movie, it's just Kyle MacLachlan. He himself is selling this movie. It's almost like he's acting as a character, but he just feels like he's just being Kyle MacLachlan sometimes. And then, of course, we have the rival, Crystal Connors, played by Gina Gershon, who's just selling this role where there's this back and forth with Nomi and Crystal. Do they hate each other? Do they love each other? Or do they just want to bang? We don't know. But it's really not that important because we're in this world with them for this entire ride of this movie. The director, Paul Verhoeven, just is known for directing great hits like RoboCop, which itself is a satire on capitalism in that world. It's not just a cool robotic cop. Corporations own the police, and they're trying to militarize it in a certain way that just benefits them. Starship Troopers, literally a commentary on the military-industrial complex and imperialism And that leads me to Showgirls. It's a commentary, it's a satire of fame and the American dream. Any questions? And that is it.
All right. So I'd like to start this off because I too used to be a Showgirl denier. I did not. I was like, puffa, that's a bad movie. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, that movie. It's weird because once you know that it's a Paul Verhoeven movie, it almost it changes the film itself in a way. Like you see it in a new light. RoboCop's a perfect film. Starship Troopers is surprisingly made before 9/11, which is
Right?
shocking. And it's he is often misunderstood and has made a career out of satirical films. So I applaud you for your for bringing this to light. Yeah, it's a really great film wrapped up in a really. Here's the thing: the film's not bad. The film should feel bad. That is how that movie is supposed to feel, and that's what makes it a masterpiece because that is that feeling is perfectly displayed. But yeah, I don't have a question because I just agree with you. But I will bring it to everyone else to see how they feel.
I have a question. So yeah, like Matt, you said like the Paul Verhoeven of it all. Like when you know it's a Paul Verhoeven movie, the thing is like I assume people knew it was a Paul Verhoeven movie. So my question, I guess, to Chris, who lived through it being poorly received and now kind of having this reappraisal, why do you think it is that this didn't get widely well received at the time, considering he had already made RoboCop by then, which was a successful satire, knowing that other satires are very successful, Blazing Saddles and Great Dictator, like you mentioned. Like, why do you think this film didn't get the same treatment? Do you think it's an overall criticism on satire in general and it's hard to market, or do you think something with Showgirls specifically prevented it from getting seen as that? Because we've seen a lot of the times, yeah, like you said, satire takes time for people to click with it. But if people knew it was Verhoeven, like why do you think this film in particular didn't necessarily get that praise from the start?
A combination of things. I would say one thing would be the casting. We have Elizabeth Berkley cast as the lead, Naomi Malone, and she was known as being like a child actress or actor, right? Coming from Saved by the Bell, which I'm wearing my Max shirt today. I'm so prepared. So she came from that, and to have her in this hyper-sexualized role, that got the attention, and not so much what the movie was trying to convey in kind of this outlandishly silly way of like what fame is. That took a backseat, definitely. And also the fact that it wasn't marketed that well, like because of all of the nudity, like I believe it is the reason why there's an NC-17 rating. So it wasn't getting people in to see it based purely on like what the story is. If you saw it, I think you were looking at a lot of stripping, a lot of just crazy scenes of like nudity. Fun fact, if you ever get the chance to watch Showgirls, if it's like showing on like not cable television, like if it's showing on like a network or something like Logo or something like that where it has to be edited, they edit the nudity around the nudity so hilariously. It's like they just draw on a like in Microsoft Paint like bras. It's the best way to watch the movie, I swear to God. But going back to my point, just the marketing of it all, I just don't think it really was going to latch on. Especially people aren't willing to look for satire when sex is like the driving force of it all. Like with Blazing Saddle, it satirizes race in America. The Great Dictator obviously satirizes fascism, but something that uses sex to also satirize like fame, that's not going to go over really well easily.
I would also just to add on to what you're saying, I would say that a comedy that is a comedy, whether you understand the satire either way, is more marketable and is easier to digest than a satire that is presented as a drama, not just
As a
as like
drama, yes.
sex drama. And especially because if you're going in, I think that most of the it's not even the marketing, most of the conversation around this movie when it came out was the NC-17 rating, and that it had Elizabeth Berkley from
Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell in it.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing. It's like, ooh, look at this salacious thing that's happening.
Yeah.
I think most people who went and saw it were either going to see
Jesse Spano.
her with Jesse Spano in the nude, or they were going to see this drama about whatever. And that's why I think movies like this get that reappraisal, because whereas Blazing Saddles didn't have to, because it was just funny on its own. It was a comedy, and it succeeded at comedy. So you didn't have to care about the satire so much. But this one kind of relies on the satire, and if you're going just for a drama, you're probably not going to get exactly what you're looking for on it.
Right. And you have to also think about the movie. It's also, there are scenes that I think are just meant to be straight up like funny, like a comedy. Like nothing to be said of the scene in the pool with Elizabeth Berkley and Colin McLaughlin, their characters. That sex scene, that's a comedy. That's over the top. The epitome.
Right. Exactly. I agree. And if you're going in expecting it not to be a comedy and you get to that scene, it seems like what are they doing? But if you're expecting it to be the satire, then it's like, oh, this is funny. Like, so I agree.
As someone who's not seen it, I'm very convinced, and I'm going to go see it. I'm very
Please
much looking forward to watching it. Thank you, Chris. Yeah.
I do have a question. Like, are you saying? I mean, you probably said it in the presentation, but are you saying that because of the satire nature of it, that it's a legitimately just good movie, or are you saying that it's like on the okay? So it's not like a frame wreck movie where it's so bad that it's good. It's just
Not
good.
at all. Yeah, I should have like led with that more in my presentation. Honestly, I am here to say that Showgirls, as through the lens of like currently of what we look at movies, if we look back at it, it is legitimately a good movie. Not so good it's bad, not so bad, it's good, or it's just across the board. I would consider it good.
And I just wanted to add, just because these are kind of like my favorite types of presentations, where it's someone taking something that's generally not well received and just painting it at a different light and saying like, have you looked at it from this lens? Because if you do, you can reframe this entire movie and see something much deeper. And I think that's like such a great thing that you did. Also, like Dylan, as someone who's never seen Showgirls, if I ever did, it would be interesting to look at it as a Verhoeven picture rather than just a stripper movie or whatever people back in the day would watch it as.
And I would say if I could get just like a few people to take this presentation and watch Showgirls for the first time, I would have done my job. So
I would say, piggybacking off of what you guys were just talking about, is that Verhoeven's another Verhoeven film, Starship Troopers, is considered a bad movie by a lot of people, unless you understand that it's a satire, and then suddenly it's a good movie. It's the same thing to me with Showgirls, because Starship Troopers was marketed as a sci-fi action film, and if you go in looking at it like that, it's like, wow, why is this so ridiculous? It's ridiculous because it's a satire commentary on the industrial military complex. Like that is the whole thing, and so
This could be something that maybe I do down the road or someone else does, but someone could do an analysis of Starship Troopers, the satire of it, but then also how it compares to the book, because they're complete like opposites of each other, and that's just fascinating too. So yeah, Verhoeven, I think you're definitely onto something, Chris, because Verhoeven just really knows how to do it. And he doesn't like come out and just like say this is a satire. Of course, that's not what you do with satires. It's not blatantly obvious. So I think you do kind of sometimes have to look at it a little deeper to actually find that stuff. So
agreed. All right, Kelsey, do you have
Well, Chad unfortunately stole my question. I was sitting here wondering the entire time as to whether or not this would fall under the category of a frame wreck movie, but I'm glad to hear that you just genuinely think that it's good. And I think that you accomplished your goal in this presentation because I think you just found 3 people who've never seen Showgirls who are now absolutely going to watch it.
Yes, I mean it is not without its faults as a movie. I will say that,
Right.
but
Sure.
if you just sit with it and know that there are these hyper inflated like beats of drama that you're supposed to look at and just be like, oh, okay, we're doing a bit much here. Yes, it's perfect. Watch it through that lens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where can they
yes.
find you?
You can find me at most places: Blue Sky, Tumblr, my letterbox. It's all cellar door floor. So that's where I am. I've gotten rid of my Twitter because I cannot be on that place anymore.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so that's where I hang out.
And you'll see him, or you did see him if you watched it. And if you haven't, go watch it on the very first episode of Camp Film Camp
Yes.
here on Matty Loves Movies. He will be on future installments, possibly talking about movies from a director he talked about just today. That's in the future. We haven't even planned that yet, but it's probably going to happen. But yeah, so that was Showgirls. What do you think? Like this video if you liked it. Go comment, tell us what you think of Showgirls. If you feel like the satire justifies what the movie is, if you have a different take on it than Chris, if you agree with Chris, please let us know in the comments. But once again, my name is Matt. Thanks for coming to our film talk.